Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something that is profoundly universal yet intensely personal for all of us. We are breaking down 6 life lessons that, honestly, most people figure out just a little too late. You know the feeling, right? We kind of stumble through our younger years, making completely avoidable mistakes, letting amazing opportunities slip by, or maybe waking up one day realizing we've built a life we didn't actually want. It's crazy how common it is to hit a milestone age and just feel this sudden, heavy wave of regret thinking, man, I wish I knew this 10 years ago. So, today, we're going to systematically unpack these lessons together. The goal here is to help you skip learning them the hard way and get straight to the truth.
There is this quiet, almost uncomfortable truth that echoes in pretty much everyone's life. There are just some things nobody explains to you when you are young. Now, you've probably heard some of the concepts we're going to talk about today in passing. They might even sound super familiar to you. But I want to challenge you right here, right now, before we go any further. There is a massive, life-altering difference between merely hearing a piece of advice and truly, deeply understanding it. Hearing is completely passive. It just washes over you. But understanding, that actively changes your behavior. Let's make sure we walk away from this explainer actually understanding these truths well enough to apply them.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this first lesson completely shatters a massive cultural myth. For years, you can wander around trying to discover who you are. You know, what you like, what your ultimate purpose is, what type of person you are at your absolute core. We act as if there's this perfect, ideal version of you hiding somewhere under a rock, or waiting for you on a backpacking trip across the world, and your only job is to find it. But that moment of magical discovery, it probably never comes, because your identity isn't found. It is actively constructed, day by day. Think of your identity as an ongoing construction site. Every single decision you make is slowly building the person you are becoming. When you drag yourself out of bed to train, even when it's raining and you have literally zero motivation, you aren't just working out. You are literally building the psychological trait of discipline. When you sit down and study something incredibly difficult instead of aimlessly scrolling on your phone, you are constructing knowledge. When you launch a project even when you are terrified of failing, like finally starting that side business, moving to a new city, or just speaking up in a meeting, you are building confidence. You don't need to have your entire life figured out in advance. You just need to start laying the bricks.
As we continue with this construction metaphor, we absolutely have to talk about the physical foundation of your life. When you're young, it is dangerously easy to treat your body like an indestructible machine. We survive on 4 hours of sleep, way too much iced coffee, and sheer willpower, just living in this permanent state of exhaustion. We convince ourselves that we'll always have time to take care of our health later, once we're successful. But here is the reality. Everything you want to do in your life entirely depends on the body and mind you carry with you. You see, you could have all the money in the world, all those incredible career opportunities, the travel, the wildly ambitious projects, but if you do not have the physical and mental energy to actually enjoy them, everything instantly loses its value. Taking care of your health isn't just some defensive strategy to tack a few extra years onto the end of your life. It's about ensuring you actually have better, more vibrant years right now. Sleeping well, moving, training, eating reasonably well, resting, and protecting your headspace aren't just little hobbies for when you have free time on a Sunday. They are your absolute non-negotiables.
These habits are quite literally the infrastructure upon which you build absolutely everything else. If a business fails, you can recover the money. If you lose a job, you can pivot and find a new one. You can always start another project or build a new network. But a collapsed physical or mental infrastructure? Wow. When you lose your health, rebuilding everything else becomes an incredibly difficult uphill battle. Your ambitions require fuel. Protect that foundation first. This brings us to the actual mechanics of building your life over time. There is a fascinating, undeniable reality about the transition from your 20s to your 30s and beyond. Now, this doesn't mean you must have your entire life flawlessly resolved by age 22. Not at all. You can fail, you can change careers, you can start from scratch and completely reinvent yourself. But we so often ignore the silent compounding effect of our choices. The decisions you make in your 20s quietly dictate the reality you will live in your 30s.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how the math of life actually works. 1 hour wasted scrolling on a Tuesday afternoon seems completely irrelevant. $100 you don't save goes totally unnoticed. A missed workout is super easy to justify. But repeat those small decisions every single day for 10 years, and you face utter stagnation. Now flip the equation, reading a little bit daily, learning a new skill for 20 minutes, investing a tiny amount of money, or intentionally building a healthy relationship. None of these actions look spectacular in the moment.
But compounded over a decade, the result is complete transformation. You don't need one giant, perfect, cinematic decision to change your life. You just need enough small decisions moving in the right direction.
Of course, in any lifelong construction project, you're going to hit periods of intense burnout. There will be moments where everything you want just doesn't seem worth the effort anymore. Your motivation completely vanishes, your limbs feel heavy, every task feels monumental, and you start questioning all of your carefully laid goals. Have you ever had that specific creeping thought pop into your head, like maybe I should just quit? Maybe this isn't for me? We have absolutely all been there.
Here is a profound psychological insight you absolutely must remember. When you are tired, your brain interprets any difficulty as a definitive reason to quit. Often the goal itself isn't the problem at all, the exhaustion is the problem. When you're entirely depleted, your brain will literally lie to you as a survival mechanism just to conserve energy. It will interpret every minor obstacle, every slight delay, as definitive proof that you should just abandon ship. This is exactly why you should never ever make major life decisions when you are completely exhausted. Sometimes, the answer isn't to throw your hands up and walk away from everything you've built. Sometimes, you just need to sleep. You need to disconnect, slow down your rhythm for a few days, and recover your baseline energy. Resting does not mean you are weak or quitting from exhaustion, and it certainly does not mean you lack discipline. Resting is a vital, strategic maintenance mechanism. The best athletes in the world rigorously schedule their rest. Consistency isn't about sprinting at maximum speed every single day. It is about finding a speed of progress that you can actually sustain for years without breaking down.
Now, let's shift our focus to the exterior of your structure, the zoning laws of your life, so to speak. This is your environment. I want you to critically observe the 5 people you spend the absolute most time with. You are, in large part, the direct result of the people who surround you. Their influence is this gravitational pull constantly shaping you, setting your standards, and defining your worldview, whether you are consciously aware of it or not.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is just how specific this influence gets. Pay close attention to how your circle speaks. What do they consider a normal use of time on a weekend? What are their baseline ambitions? How do they react to something different, or to someone trying to improve themselves? If you are constantly surrounded by people who mock any attempt at self-improvement or dismiss ambition, you will instinctively start hiding your goals just to fit in. But if you are surrounded by people who learn, create, and work hard, suddenly massive success just feels completely normal. It becomes your new baseline. I want you to confront this uncomfortable reality. You don't necessarily have to abandon everyone who thinks differently than you, but you must ask yourself this exact question. Is your circle pushing you forward or holding you back? Curating who gets access to your time and energy and intentionally choosing who you allow to influence you is quite literally one of the most critical decisions you will ever make. It is very often the difference between staying stuck and breaking through. Let's step into the final phase of our architect's journey, expansion. There is a very comfortable trap in life that is dangerously easy to fall into once you've reached a baseline level of success. It's the trap of only doing things you are already good at, only talking to people you already know, and only accepting opportunities where you are absolutely certain you won't fail. It's the golden handcuffs of being just pretty good at something safe. Staying in that safe zone does a great job of protecting your ego. Right? You never look foolish, you never have to be the beginner again, and you never stumble. But protecting your ego comes at the direct and heavy cost of limiting your personal growth. Almost everything that has the power to truly transform your life, to take you to that next level you dream about, is going to make you feel incredibly vulnerable and uncomfortable at first. Think about those massive milestones. Your first real job interview, your first time traveling alone to an unfamiliar city, standing up in front of a crowd to speak, launching a project where you know you might actually fail publicly. The sweating, the elevated heart rate, the deep anxiety, the overwhelming discomfort, that isn't a sign that you've made a bad choice. It is the definitive proof that you are entering new transformative territory. You don't have to live in a constant state of panic, but if you want to grow, you must step into the unknown regularly. A completely comfortable life feels safe until years pass and you realize all the incredible things you never even tried. These 6 lessons might seem simple on the surface, but actively applying them will completely alter the trajectory of your life. Do not wait until you feel perfectly ready, because that day will never come. Start building the person you want to be right now. Protect your health like it's your only true asset. Think in decades, not in days. Rest strategically before you break down. Curate an environment that pulls you upward. And finally, get completely comfortable with being uncomfortable. In a few years, you probably won't remember the mundane details of the normal days you are living right now. But I promise you this,
You will absolutely live with the consequences of the small, compounding decisions you are making today. So I leave you with one final, vital question to ask yourself. Does the person you are becoming look like the person you want to be? Take a moment, think deeply about it, and start building.